There is
incredible.
some airflow, because I was wondering, what if I had too much Taco Bell the night before and Jägermeister.
It's not like racquetball. Like, it's really embarrassing.
It was just hot boxed in.
If you think MEP/Ben was most exhausting, get into a padel court with me. Let's party.
Welcome to Shankcast episode number 31. Today we're going to be talking about pickleball and its effect or non-effect on tennis. I'm curious. I have no idea what your guys' opinion on this is at all.
Well, let's hear the talking points first.
So this was a post made by a person in our Facebook group, which I highly recommend you. How many people do we have in there? Like 15,000?
15,000.
15,000, yeah. Amazing. Just shout out to the Facebook Essential Tennis Facebook group. Pretty amazing group of people. It might be the only group of 15,000 people on the internet that can get along like 97% of the time.
I think this 3% might be the exception.
3% of the time, it's like any other part of the internet, but most of the time, it's fantastic. I love that group. But this was a hotly contested topic. Matt, can you fill us in a little bit?
Yeah, so I was just scrolling through the Facebook group, Ian, and I came across, this was from Brian Phillips, and he posted, "Does anyone else believe that pickleball is bringing down U.S. tennis? If you can't cover court playing dubs." And he basically said the park by his house just built 2 dedicated pickleball courts and only 1 tennis court. And he says he teaches tennis for a living, and he's seeing fewer players in leagues, lessons, etc.
Do we know where he is?
I do not. I didn't look up. I believe he's in the U.S. And basically just kind of went with that. And so what really kind of sparked my peak with this is I was going to respond and I didn't. And then all of a sudden, I want to say almost a day later, 97 responses from it, and then 56 likes. Now, I took this screenshot 2 days ago, so that number could even be higher. So that was, I believe, in a day or 12 hours, 97 responses.
So with the 97 responses, I want to clarify, Tyler, one of the editors at Essential Tennis, and also, I'm assuming, moderator of this Facebook group, said he had to delete quite a few number of comments because they were getting, quote-unquote, too heated. So tennis players apparently feel very strongly one way or another about this topic.
Why do personal attacks need to come into pickle? I mean, I get it. There's a certain breed of tennis player that thinks all other paddle and racket sports are basically like a slap in the face to their favorite sport. I've always been the opposite. I love all paddle racket. How about that? So you agree with me?
I'm 100%. I'm 100% in that agreement, and I look at it from 2 different angles. I guess I can elaborate more if you want me to. So I look at it on the 2 different angles of my own journey. So a lot of tennis players, if you look at the vacuum or the bubble, typically start off later in their career on the recreation side, right? Between adult 30s, late 20s, and I don't know how long they play for. Everybody at this table started as a junior. So I just figured out I've been playing tennis 28 years. That's a long time to play one thing. Yep. So my path diverged when I was right out of college, and I started playing a lot of platform tennis, which I still play to this day.
Is that paddle tennis too?
Paddle,
okay,
yep.
Just clarifying definitions.
And then I took up pickleball probably about 4 years ago, and I really enjoy it. Now, I understand with doing 3 different things, I'm kind of a master of none. I will not excel at anything, but I'm good at all 3, and I enjoy
having
them.
a good time.
Yeah, that's to me. On the flip side of it, what Brian mentioned about the teaching part of it, I'm a businessman. If my tennis numbers are going down, how am I going to generate revenue? And if people at my club enjoy pickleball, I'm going to jump on that bandwagon and make as much money as possible. I don't have I look at the business side first of it if I'm at a club.
You don't have a dog in the fight necessarily as far as being loyal to a particular.
No.
I can understand. Like I love I would still personally pick tennis over all over. It's like my first love. Is tennis, and so it has a special place in my heart. But as a business owner, the building we're in right now, which is full of frickin' storage crates and forklifts, brought in. You can see the pickleball lines on the courts. the membership here got more stingy and more stingy and more stingy. They would not pay increased court fees. They would not pay increased membership dues. And so the director of tennis here had no choice but to start running pickleball tournaments. Of course, the membership here like took it as like a slap in the face. But what do you want somebody to do who has to balance, a budget and be able to pay his staff and whatnot? Like, to me, this is like a common story that I've seen around the country.
For context, I was also part of that initial pickleball at what this Essential Tennis Court, what this club used to be, and I loved it.
Before the storage units,
yes.
you mean? Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah. I started playing here in the early 90s. So I love this, I love this building. It's sad that it went out of business.
Well, let's just assume, though, that from the Facebook group post that he's in the Midwest, if not Wisconsin, so we can relate a little bit better. Let's just assume that. Because different parts of the country, even though it is one country.
Well, first of all, where are your loyalties, Mark?
My loyalties?
Yeah.
I've always taken, both as a player and as a coach, and I guess analyst at this point, that you should pick a sport
You should
or
put
a hobby.
analyst on your business card
Maybe.
for sure.
That would be pretty sweet.
Oh, there you go. I'll update my LinkedIn.
You should.
My favorite, my philosophy when it comes to sports, as a player, a coach, and apparently analyst now, is pick what you love and do the best damn thing you can do with it. So whether or not it's pickleball, basketball, swimming, polo, or darts.
Air hockey.
Air hockey.
That's
Is
tough.
that an Olympic sport yet?
It should be.
It should
Okay.
be.
It's a freaking great game.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Hockey.
Can't do it sober, though. No matter what sport it is, do it and do it well. Whatever your job is, whatever your career is, do it and do it well. Pick something to get your mind off of the everyday grind of just this thing called life. So I'm not loyal. Tennis, just like you, is my first love. But tennis isn't for everybody. Some people play basketball. Some people play pickleball. I have no problem with that. So,
but when it comes to
sentiments
repurposing tennis courts, how are you, generally speaking, what are your feelings on that? Taking a tennis court and turning it into pickleball.
whatever makes the most money for that business. Because I, too, am a business guy.
And I'll even go the non-business side because you're seeing it more and more on park district sides or public facilities. I look at it like this because it's pretty funny because, and we've mentioned this before, Ian and I come from Ferris State professional tennis management. If I were to start a program, I would call it professional rackets management because in this day and age, a lot of clubs are requiring more than just tennis. They want pickleball. They want platform tennis. And the USTA, I was just talking with somebody there. They just put in padel courts, which I want to try so bad.
What's that?
So it's a combination basically of platform tennis and tennis. So you can hit it outside of it's like a glass.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've
or
seen
plexiglass,
this. It looks
yeah.
amazing.
It's huge in
big
Spain
Europe, right?
and Europe, yeah.
It looks. Have you seen this?
Padel?
Padel.
I had
Padel.
a Zoom call with somebody who has like the biggest padel YouTube channel in Europe, and I hadn't heard of it till then. I watched it. I was like, this is incredible. It's like a clear box that you play inside of across the net.
Actually, I'd say it's more of a combination of platform tennis and racquetball.
Okay.
So you can hit it off the walls. You can hit it out of the air, but platform tennis, you have to keep the ball within the confines of the cage.
Otherwise, you lose.
And padel, you don't. So you have an open door. You can run outside and get the ball back and play.
Okay, so there is
incredible.
some airflow because I was wondering what if I had too much Taco Bell the night before and Jägermeister.
It's not like racquetball. Like it's really embarrassing.
It was just hot boxed in.
If you think MEP/Ben was most exhausting, get into a Padel court with me. Let's party.
But to go back is I look at like even the public facilities, and again I love the racket sports spirit. If the park by my house has 8 tennis courts and nobody's using them, and the park has to decide if they're going to rip it down and put more soccer fields, a baseball diamond, or pickleball, I want pickleball because that's my interest though too.
But when you say tear it down, meaning like you tear down the entire tennis net, or do you just put up pickleball lines, which is also a good compromise?
You can do that as well, and you're seeing some of that come as well. But there is, I would say, on the flip side, there's a much different experience if you're playing on dedicated pickle courts versus a tennis court.
Having to avoid the net post.
Yeah, you have the bunch of lines. And, But again,
you can't fit as many courts with the post there too. Right?
Correct. Yeah. So I look at it as, you mentioned it, I think right before we got on. If the tennis courts are not being utilized, then they're going to put something there that's going to be, and vice versa. So how park districts work, for some that don't know, is there's a board and there's people obviously that introduce this stuff. So where I'm close to Naperville, Illinois, and they have 2 spots now that have dedicated pickle courts. They have tons of tennis courts.
Yep.
And basically a group of people, there was a massive demand from Naperville. They said, we want these things. We'll utilize them. And guess what? They're always jam-packed.
That's good.
Yeah, and I don't think if they would have done that with tennis, just based on how many current existing tennis courts are there, that would have happened.
Yep. And that's good to see, because I think there was a park somewhere between Waukesha and Brookfield, a group of current tennis players, or maybe even ex-tennis players at this point. Zane, who's literally number 4 in the world, lives in Brookfield. I think that's his main outdoor court during the summer.
Mm-hmm. Where is it?
It's Banting.
Yeah, it's fine. Banting?
Banting Elementary School.
Okay.
It used to be 4 tennis courts, and they took 3 of the tennis courts down and made it all pickleball. And they've hosted tournaments there. They've had clinics there. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's
as
sad
a first love tennis guy, like that's like
it hits you a little
bit. Right, it does.
Okay.
It does. But from a use case scenario, from an activity perspective, from a potentially revenue or profit, like it is what it is, and it's sad. It's so weird though, because I feel like we've been told for like a year now that tennis is booming. It's like the official like kind of sport of COVID, yada yada yada, because you're socially distanced, outside doubles, the whole time. And yet I'm hearing like this building. I'm hearing lots of stories about clubs and facilities being transferred over to other stuff or going out of business or whatever. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if the business model is just not sustainable the way it used to be, or what. I don't have the data.
Well, from a business standpoint, I have a friend who's a part owner at Lake Geneva Tennis Club.
Tennis club.
LGT. And other than them making money, because they're right on the border of Illinois and they're technically in Wisconsin, he loves pickleball because the amount of money he's making, him and his business partners are making, is significantly higher.
It's just more people per square foot.
It's like Quick Start.
Yes.
But for adults.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like,
and not only that, it's something. Well, before I get to that, I just want to address the fact that sorry, what was his name? Like
Brian.
Brian. Like Brian's probably banging his head against the wall right now because there's nobody here representing his viewpoint, which is like tennis first. Like get all the other sports out of there. You guys should probably be defending tennis. I'm guessing is probably what he's saying right now.
I can back up some of his points after. I mean, do you guys have anything else?
I had another pro pickleball point.
Well, go ahead.
Frankly,
Go ahead.
And that was the accessibility. I mean, when you look at aging populations like Florida, retirement haven, it just makes sense. Pickleball is so much less, jarring and demanding on the body. It just makes sense. People are going to transition towards pickleball. The club in Palm Desert, where I go back to every year during the BMP, I've watched slowly one court at each year I go back. It's like one more court has become pickleball.
What year did you start noticing that?
Oh, probably 5 or 6 years ago. I've been going there for like 10 years.
Really?
Probably 5-6 years ago, it was like, oh, pickleball. Oh, that's funny. And then it was like another court and then another court. And now it's like the whole back row of courts at this club is all pickleball now. And it's because it's like a retirement kind of aged community. And the tennis courts just aren't the stadium court, beautiful, like terraced, like stadium court right outside the pro shop, got reclaimed and is now being used for bocce ball.
Bocce?
That hurts, like that, because it's a beautiful court. Like that's where the head pro taught all his lessons there. So it's like they would have like the pro-am or whatever there, and it's freaking bocce ball now. As somebody who loves tennis, like I that hurts me. Like I hate it, but you talk to the director of, it's like we gotta, like there's people who want to do stuff, but they don't want to play tennis. The tennis courts are empty. Probably 70% of the time. Like what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I was going to say, so Brian on the post also made, in all places are different, right? And he made a mention of, he thought lessons were down, participation was down
for him in tennis.
Yeah. So I'm going to give 2 takes on that. Is one is my wife never had a crazier summer than last year because of COVID. So her numbers,
But she does paddle.
I'm talking tennis.
Oh, her tennis
paddle
numbers
were even more insane. But all the pros that I still communicate with last summer was their biggest record summer ever. And these are outdoor private facilities too, so I should clarify that. So I didn't see any decrease with numbers. I think the hard thing too is, I've always kind of argued this in tennis, to me it's hard to get a true gauge of what numbers really are if you're going off the USTA. Because
why would that be, Matt?
Yeah,
are they biased or incentive?
Well, 80% of people don't play USTA. So how are you? I never understood how they're determining growth, because of all the clubs I've never been at, no one's ever called.
It's bigger this year. Shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how they determine.
Yeah. Wait, is anybody here sponsored by the USTA?
No.
Growth by the USTA standards is how much money they could bring into their own nonprofit, in my opinion. Yeah. But
so
there's a cease and desist letter coming now from the USTA. I'm expecting it.
But the other one I look at for just paddle, pickleball, and tennis. So I'm assuming everybody that's listening to this plays tennis. Give yourself a round of applause, because that is one of the most complicated sports to play. And it's a big court. 2-0, 1-5, they usually don't stick with it because it is so hard. I don't care if it's singles or doubles. It is very difficult.
The on-ramping is difficult.
Yeah, so I can take somebody today.
It's like learning how to drive in an F1 car.
Right, and get them on a tennis court. And
maybe that's exaggeration.
Yeah,
please don't do that.
Yeah. And look at that player, and I'm talking a low-level player, and saying, we might be, and I'm just guesstimating, 4 weeks before you can actually play a match, because you physically can't get a serve over. Mm-hmm. I could take that same player and put him on a pickle or a paddle court and get him to play tomorrow. I'm that confident in that, just because you got a smaller court, you have smaller equipment. So I don't think it's taking away from tennis.
It's less downtime. It's less expensive.
Yeah, I think it's just attracting a new audience and taking players that, like me, have played something for so long and just need a transition.
And to back up Matt on that, no, I don't think no one in this table of 3 is bashing the pro level of pickleball, because it is tough.
Yeah.
But as the accessibility comes,
no, I don't think Matt's trying to say it's easy.
Yeah.
There's virtually no.
The on-ramping is easier, but it doesn't mean you're elite at it after the first week.
but as a tennis player, I think I played pickleball 3 times before I played a tournament, and they placed me in the open level, which is, I think that was like 5-0 or 5-5. And Zane, funny enough, he's number 4 in the world now. He played in the division below me. He obviously stuck with it. I didn't. But first of all, at that
But you didn't come in like from square one.
Correct.
Like you had rackets background.
I had rackets background. But like, it is, first of all, it's super fun. Second of all, I played singles. It's exhausting. Yeah. Singles pickleball at like a somewhat semi-pro level is incredibly exhausting and incredibly fun. It's like using different parts of your muscle, but I'm looking around, wait, what the hell? I'm on a tennis court. Yep. Why am I so tired? It's just different.
Yeah.
But you do carry over some.
It takes 2.5 steps to get to the net. Why am I so tired?
Because I'm getting old.
So, I mean, I'm here to back up some of Brian's sentiments. I don't know if you guys are, but I've got some points of contention.
I mean, it's not really fair for us, frankly. It's not a fair representation here, because we've all been in tennis for a long time. Yep. We all have made income and like it's part of our career in tennis, but we all are not in a normal tennis role. None of us are a usual like full-time teacher. Like it sounds like Brian, was it? None of us are in Brian's shoes, where he can kind of see things shrinking around him. You know, the feels like maybe the Titanic is like slowly. Yeah. He's like, oh, what's going on, guys? And it's easy to get defensive and lash out at the imposter, I think.
Yeah, and there was somebody from Ferris State that just recently posted something. I can't remember if it was on general Facebook or our PTM alumni, and inquired about pickleball as well. And he's 100% against it. And it was more of
in general.
Well,
like down with pickleball.
Yeah, and his points were
somebody I know.
I would.
Great call on RJ the other day.
Yeah,
by the way,
that
was a huge call. Yeah, sorry.
Oh no. So he was basically saying it's not going to, based on the analytics they were doing, it's not going to bring in revenue to the club. It's a membership benefit. And they'd have to take away a tennis court where he estimated they're going to lose about $10K based on the yearly revenue that's coming into that court. Basically, they're saying all their courts are being used. And I had a lot of questions. I didn't understand.
All their tennis courts are being used for tennis.
For tennis, yes. So there was some things I didn't understand, because the first thing I said, why don't you just put the lines and put some portable nets?
Yeah.
And that's a different topic. But kind of going back is, I 100% Brian's point on this. If I worked here and let's say I'm struggling to get court time as it is, the numbers are getting smaller, and now you're taking away possible court time for me to earn my living, and that's all I do is teach tennis, you're 100% right. I don't think I would dig it. Now, I look at it, I'm playing a little devil's advocate with myself, though. I'm looking at it, well, then you have to get a little more growth mindset and maybe learn pickleball to make up some of that revenue. If you don't want to do it, that's cool.
Or ask yourself the question, why is tennis shrinking in my area, and try to do something about it.
Go to a different place. There's a lot of factors. It's just, I understand that point of it. When you think somebody's impeding on your ability to earn money, I get it.
But this goes into a business question of like the growth mindset, as you mentioned. Obviously this gentleman, Brian, he's say a fantastic tennis coach. Why can't he like take some time and understand the sport of this thing called pickleball and possibly branch out in lessons that way?
Or up his skills or add more tools to his toolbox on the tennis side of things to make him a more desirable, more niche person in his own market, so that there's higher demand for his time. I mean, I think it could go either direction. But still, like,
but you're saying
I'm not judging. I'm not saying this is Brian, but if your course of action is just become a keyboard warrior and bash on pickleball, like that's not gonna solve anything. Not for yourself as the coach or for the sport of tennis.
But it was interesting, and I didn't read through all the comments.
I'm not saying Brian's a keyboard warrior. I'm just saying, like, if those are your three options, like complain about it, up your tennis game, or add pickleball to your repertoire.
But it was interesting reading through the comments. It was, I don't want to say it was a 50-50 split or 60-40. I didn't dive into it too much, but it was interesting. It was both sides of the coin. It was people that are basically saying pickleball is the devil. Why are we playing this stupid game? And others,
it's so noisy.
Yeah, and that was one of them. That was the noise. And I was like, really? But there was some, and I can't remember who made the comment, is more of saying, I enjoy this because, and they said they didn't play a lot. They played more socially, like they didn't play in tournaments but they said, well, I don't play tennis and pickleball with the same group of people. This is a different subset of friends because they don't play tennis, and I really enjoy hanging out with them. And that's what I believe her point was, is more of just, I enjoy doing both. Why can't I do both? I can be on both sides of the coin right here.
But some of the people that are commenting on that post saying, no, you can't have both. You either must hate it or love it.
That's the internet for you.
Yeah, that's. But it.
I see you, internet.
It was interesting. I just didn't understand some of the frustration with some of the comments, and kind of going back to your point is, if you have a brand new tennis courts at a park district, let's say, outdoor public courts that are just beautiful, if you're not going to use them, they're going to repurpose what they're for. So if you're going to keep saying, I'll get to it the next day, and then it's 3 years and one of the courts, you don't see anybody playing on them, they're going to figure out what to do with them. So I know some people are very fortunate to belong to their own clubs and they don't need the public spaces, and that's great. But when I hear, well, they're taking away the public courts, it's like, well, there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
And they're not being utilized. And it's unfortunate, but if you want them to stay, you might have to be a little bit of leading that charge of saying, hey, Ian, hey, Mark, let's grab our buddies and let's get out there so we can justify to them, like, these are being utilized.
But my question is, how do they measure that since it's a public court? There's not someone sitting at the Park District outdoor tennis court with a pencil and paper 24/7, right?
That's true, but I mean, I think you can. I think one of it you can. I don't want to say just tell. Like there's I'm by a beautiful park that has 8 or 10 tennis courts, and they're talking about taking a bank and putting dedicated pickleball. I'm there for my son's practices. Take them there. My wife and I have hit there. There's rarely anybody at those courts.
That's it.
And again, that is a small measuring board because I'm going at different days, different times. But I'm guessing if you took away a bank, you wouldn't notice it.
And as you said, the pickleball courts are being used constantly.
Yeah, 100%.
It's crazy though. I have a good friend in Brooklyn, New York, and I mean it's its own animal, obviously, but he was talking to me last time I was there visiting him pre-COVID. We went and hit together, and we got there as the sun was coming up, and we got the last courts, and shortly after we got I don't know, it was a bank of 6, maybe 5. As we got the last court, other people started coming, and a line formed. And I talked to him the other day, and he said the line now, like, basically reaches around once somebody's waiting for a court, you have a 1 hour limit, and it's like this all through New York City. But that's New York City.
Yeah, that's why I said let's concentrate on the Midwest.
Well, sure, but I think it's worth pointing out that it's a very different reality. Like if somebody's lived in New York City their whole life, they might be listening to us saying, like, what the hell? Like, these guys have no idea what they're talking about. But there are different realities in different geographical regions for sure.
Yeah, I think city of Chicago is the same way.
Everybody in New York City who just heard your story is like dying inside right now.
City's the same way as Chicago. There's usually a wait at, because it's like Lakeshore. There's only so many spots that have public courts. But you go to the burbs.
Yeah.
And, for me, I'm in a radius of our high school in, like I said, McCollum Park, that has 20 courts. So, and a lot of suburbs are that way when you're in bigger areas. I don't know what, Milwaukee is like. Or
to a smaller extent, Milwaukee is similar only in one place called McKinley Park, which is right on the lakefront.
That's where it's at.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful, and
it is.
It's 6 courts,
and it has it has actual like tennis culture.
Yeah,
like you see the same people at this. I used to live 2 blocks from there.
Really,
you see the same people at the same times. Like people will come with like their chairs and like umbrellas, and like a group of like 8 dudes will come and like
awesome.
sit, and like 4 of them are playing. The other 4 are like yelling at them and making fun of them, and then they'll rotate. Like
one of them is always shirtless, and he is.
I know who you're talking, and you don't want him to be shirtless.
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
He's got a gut.
Is he the one that has that sweatband a lot of times?
No, that's another guy. No, there's this one guy. He actually isn't homeless because I should talk to him, and he has a terrier, unleashed, beautiful, cute dog, but yelpy. That's the issue. But he's always shirtless, and he's always willing to play with someone, and
awesome.
It's like, yep, that's the guy.
Yeah, so I feel like in the Midwest, that kind of tennis court-centric, like culture is the only word, or community maybe. Yep. I feel like it's pretty rare in the Midwest. But more often than not, it's like the story that Matt told, which is the way it is.
But it's great when you do see it.
Oh, yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's not how you hit a forehand.
But it's the exception.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the exception, though.
I've
been wanting to do video forever, where I go down to those courts and I do some kind of challenge where like we set up cameras and I like put up a poster board that says
"Come beat me,
play me." Yeah, it's like win a game, like I'll give you $100 or something like that.
So
and
you want to hustle people.
No,
they get $100. Yeah.
He's not gonna. You're gonna dress up in like the old man suit and
jeans. Jeans are where it's at.
No, I don't win money. Like I just give out money to whoever can beat me in a point or something like that. Like I've been wanting to do that video for a while.
Summer's coming up. We should do that.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Or maybe we could do doubles version of it too.
Love it.
But with citing the other part of this argument, especially in indoor tennis, pickleball points are super annoying because of that one dinking sound.
Ting,
exactly.
Ting,
Have you ever been in a facility where there's like 20 matches going on at the same time? It's pretty crazy.
Other than here, but I was playing pickleball. That's the issue. But there was like a tournament here where I think there were all 8
Okay, yeah.
within a bank. Super. But again, I was playing pickleball, so I wasn't playing tennis, so I really couldn't
Right. 'cause-
associate
yeah.
the sound as like dissonance. Where if I was playing a singles tennis match on court 1 and there were 17 pickleball matches going on at the same time,
No.
I could definitely see how it's annoying, especially if it's indoor tennis.
Yeah.
This coming from the guy who goes "buah" when he hits a tennis ball.
I deserve that. I deserve that. I deserve that. Michael is coming here today, so I'll talk to him about that. Come on.
Oh man, that's pretty funny.
Is boy really that annoying?
I'm just saying.
Okay.
You say "boy," I don't know. I'm just throwing it. I'm just throwing it out there.
Just telling you.
That's kind of. I don't think I have anything else. What do you guys have? Any final
I will
thoughts?
say
I don't feel
from-
like we really solved anything here, but
Oh, we're not solvers. We're keyboard warriors.
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
in MP3 form.
We're make you think about
Yeah.
it.
The lines can get kind of annoying if they're being hit there on a somewhat consistent basis. Yes, it's not supposed to have that skid effect,
Right.
at least the way they're probably
These do.
engineered to.
Yeah.
But they do. And it's
also
annoying
if the
too.
color, like if whoever set them up was a dumbass about the color, it can be really
Hard to
obnoxious.
see.
Have you seen
Yeah.
a hot pink one? I have yet to see one. Hot pink
No, that
pickleball
sounds
lines.
terrible, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, no. Yeah, I don't think I have much more to add. I just think it's more of people choose different paths, and when they kind of get burnt out of tennis or they want to do other things, and whether it's platform, whether it's golf. And I was joking with Suzanne the other day, that my wife, and I said I've been wanting to really get in golf. Like I enjoy it. I'm decent at it. I'm not good, but I don't have time.
Yep.
But at some point, I'm going to get into it because I'm not going to want to run around as much as, and that could be 50 years old, that could be 60 years old, that could be 45. I don't know what that timeline is.
I'll set up a tea time for us, Matt.
I love it.
I'm gonna get back into golf.
And-
So it's
yeah.
the same thing for me. I cannot justify spending 6 hours of a
Right.
day away from family or business or whatever.
Yeah, and
Oh, I can.
but
Enjoy it.
Yeah, but that, I think that's the thing is, for the tennis players out there that are kind of grumpy about the explosion of pickleball, I don't personally think it's taking away from their audience and opponents or friendships they're going to make. I mean, yeah, there's going to be some that didn't choose or maybe quit early, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it's attracting a new audience or an audience that was going away from tennis anyway.
Right.
So,
I don't have anything else. Mark?
Nothing. I think that's all said and done. We solved all the problems.
I'm curious to hear what some of the reactions are going to be.
I guess my final thought would just simply be I feel bad that there's nobody here representing the PO.
yeah.
Maybe you
like,
could bring Zane on here for this.
was
topic
he
round two.
previously tennis?
Yeah, he was a previous tennis player. Now he's literally number 4 in the world for pickleball, for professional
Was
pickleball.
he? Did he ever earn a living
Tennis?
with tennis?
He taught tennis just like any college kid over the summer. He played at Whitewater number 1.
Okay.
So he has had monetary success, or at least profit, from teaching tennis.
I think to really represent, like, we need a career like tennis coach.
Yeah,
like,
that
to-
is saying why that
Yeah.
it's not.
I think
why
it-
they don't care for what's more pickleball courts.
I'm
going
sure
instead
they're.
of
I'm
tennis.
sure they're out there. We could.
Yeah.
I'll reach into my network.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Appreciate your support. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
See ya.
Take care.
I need water. Do you guys have any orange cups?
I just bought like 100 of them in the plastic bag.